They might seem cute, helpless, and charmingly innocent. Or they can look fierce, weird, and downright creepy. In the world of extreme animals, meet the babies. The Amazon, one of the world's most dangerous nurseries. In this predator paradise, there's no time for baby steps, as our jungle nippers compete to survive the ultimate free-range parenting. Which babies boast the cleverest blueprint for survival? Find out in the Extreme Animal Countdown as we reveal the top 10 Amazonian baby survivors. The Amazon's many rivers are home to a close relative of the alligator, the South American caiman. Some species of caiman may grow to 3 meters long and weigh in at as much as 270 kilos. Few Amazonian animals can wipe the bone-crushing grin off a fully grown caiman's face. But newborn, baby caimans are only a few centimeters long. These bite-sized babies aren't much of a threat, yet. Newly formed caimans are particularly vulnerable as they start life inside an egg. Luckily, Mum has a plan for that and keeps them buried until they hatch. The female will listen hard for the telltale sounds of the hatching babies. That's her cue to dig up the nest, giving the youngsters their first glimpse of their Amazon home. It's hard to kiss your kids when you've got one of nature's most powerful jaws. But Mum's actually on taxi duty, carefully carrying her young to the water's edge. Like most families, there's always a couple of dawdlers, and some of the eggs have yet to hatch. They'll make an easy meal for opportunistic predators. So Mum will have to speed along the process. Having few tools at her disposal, she goes to work with her fearsome fangs. It's like using a jackhammer to crack a walnut. But she's deft, gentle, and incredibly breaks the shell without breaking the baby, which emerges into the world in one piece. So far, so good. But there's a shock in store for some of these tiny dependents. Mum decides someone else can take over from here and dumps her offspring on another willing female. Along with her own babies, the foster mother now has a vast brood to take care of. These young caimans' survival strategy is to stay out of the water and as close to their guardian as possible, climbing aboard her like an armor-plated battleship. But there just isn't enough room for them all. And in the Amazon, if you stray too far from the mothership, you risk getting mugged by the mighty river's most feared gangsters. The piranhas. It takes seconds for the tiny caiman to go from all grins and snappy attitude to blood, guts, and fish food. But for having the survival sense to use their toothy guardian as a floating fortress, caiman babies squeak in at number 10 on the Amazon Survivors Countdown. The Amazon's trees are a sanctuary of sorts for many creatures. Many, like the woolly and capuchin monkeys, zip through the foliage at high speed. But there's one mammal which lives life in permanent slow-mo. Three-toed sloths are so chilled out, not even a face full of fire ants will spoil a snooze. This South American herbivore has one of the slowest metabolisms in nature and doesn't do anything fast, especially food. And that's great for baby sloths, which can nap uninterrupted while clinging to mum. So apart from an iron grip, what's the baby sloth's best survival trick? And here's a clue. It's not a sudden turn of speed. Well, the sloth's first strategy is taken straight from the Commando Handbook. Jungle camouflage. Sloths are so slow that mum and baby seem to have gathered moss on their fur. This organic camo is actually algae and blends so well with the foliage that these noisy neighbors at first seem unaware of mum and baby. But when they are spotted, of course, mum's not about to run from a fight. Baby sloth survival tool number 2 is to hide behind mum's set of very long, sharp claws. And no slouch of a left hook. But while sloths are well kitted out to survive while lounging in the jungle canopy, they're exposed as soon as they leave the safety of the trees. And once every 3 weeks, mum does just that, to answer a call of nature. By about 5 months old, he'll have to make this toilet trip on his own. Moving at just over 1.5 kilometers per hour is not exactly a taxing speed for any passing jaguar. Dicing with death on the Amazon forest floor, sloth survival can seem more a matter of luck than judgment. But in the trees, the greatest threat comes from the air. The South American harpy eagle can carry a full-grown sloth plus baby back to its nest. Their insanely risky toilet habits knock three-toed sloths out of the countdown. They're overtaken by an impressively agile mammal. South American spider monkeys swing through the trees at incredible pace. Using their special prehensile tails to grip branches, they can taunt the local predators with glee. Infants spend most of their young lives in the canopy, sleeping, feeding, and of course, playing. But if they're to survive to maturity, they must learn one simple lesson well: how to cling on to their fast-moving mum for dear life. Well, most of the time anyway. spider monkeys are thought to be more intelligent than gorillas. So if she's smart, why would Mum take Junior down to the forest floor where her speed through the trees counts for nothing? Well, brains don't come into it when you're bored of eating leafy greens. She's been lured by the tasty salt in the mud pools. Baby's along for the ride. And keen for a salty treat too. So keen, he nearly forgets survival rule number 1. Never let go of Mum. Who? What? Where? But while he's fooled by Mum, Baby is switched on to potential threats. And when it's time to go, he's holding on tight. This time, it's a troop of peccaries with wickedly sharp tusks. But Junior's quick reactions mean he's taking in the view from the safety of Mum's arms. So, for its quick wits and limpet-like grip, the spider monkey baby swings in at number 9 on the survival ladder. Next up, meet a baby who likes a waterside view. And one that shows flyings for the birds, just not this bird. So far in the countdown of Amazon baby survivors, Cayman tiddlers survive piranha-infested waters by clambering aboard a fearsome guardian. They're in at number 10. In 9th spot, spider monkey babies live through a high-speed infancy, swinging through the treetops thanks to a vice-like grip. The next survival contender is a baby bird born on the banks of the Amazon and, unbeknown to them, into a deadly race with the elements. Black skimmer chicks are fluffy little eating machines, and in fact, their seemingly insatiable appetite may be key to their survival. Fortunately for the hungry chicks, their parents are built to fish. They have a specialized beak with a longer lower mandible. It's designed so the bird can fish on the wing. When it hits a small fish, the upper mandible snaps shut to catch it. For a month after their chicks hatch, skimmers will fish like this day and night to provide an all-you-can-eat sushi banquet. It's imperative for the chicks to pile on the weight and grow to over 200 grams to be strong enough to fly. Because the skimmer's nesting habits have a potentially fatal flaw. Its nest is just a small indentation in the sand, so highly vulnerable to flooding. The rich waters of the Amazon may provide a constant supply of food, but when the dry season ends, they'll bring almost certain death for any remaining chicks. This little one needs to eat as much as it can, as fast as it can, if it's to escape the imminent floods, even if it means scrapping with its siblings to steal a meal. And it's no good appealing to Mum. She's not taking sides. For these little ones, it seems crime does pay. There's no hiding which is the more proficient thief. But even the dominant chick is still land-bound, its wings too small to fly. And unfortunately, the rains have arrived early this year. In the Amazon, as much as 3 meters of water can fall in the wet season. The influx churning its rivers into raging torrents of mud and jungle detritus. All this skimmer chick can do is lie and wait as the river rises. Its parents are powerless to help as fingers of water slowly reach for their offspring. The chick attempts to evade its grasp. But perhaps mistaking the foam for land, runs straight into the river. Even fully grown skimmers can't swim, and the helpless chick soon disappears in this lethal bubble bath. A casualty of bad timing. So, for growing up on a riverbank at high risk of flooding, in a nest at low risk of saving them, skimmer chicks don't make the top 10 Amazonian survivors. Amazon macaws have a far safer nesting strategy. Their young hatch out inside tree hollows high above the water and out of reach of the lethal threat it holds. For a while, the chicks can forget about the caiman, their parents bringing them all the food they need. But after a few months, they're fully fledged. Room service stops, and they must fend for themselves. And that means learning to fly over very dangerous waters indeed. The first sibling decides taking off from height will be an advantage, and scales the tree using its powerful beak. Mum keeps an eye on things from a distance, but for this, the kids are on their own. The young macaw stretches his wings and gives them an exploratory flap. They had better work first time, because there's several hungry caiman hoping they don't. Little wonder the other sibling doesn't seem too keen to leave the nest at all. Back at the top of the tree, it looks like it's crunch time. But not to be outdone, his brother has got his act together. And it's 3, 2, 1. Oh, what's the opposite of liftoff? The fledgling has made a meal of its first flight. And itself in the process. For the caiman, a bird in the pond is worth 2 in the tree. And the other young macaw flies safely away. So they're not just a pretty polly. They've got to be pretty brave baby birds too. Macaw chicks take out 8th spot in the countdown of Amazonian survivors. On the outer edges of Amazonia, one inhabitant has a taste for high wire acts. While deep in the rainforest, a cuddle from the world's heaviest snake isn't a friendly gesture. Along the eastern slopes of the Andes, mountain conditions produce a cooler Amazon climate, along with lush equatorial vegetation, making it a perfect home for South America's only bear. The spectacled bear gets its name from facial markings that look a little bit as though it's wearing glasses. Well, sort of. Famously, the inspiration for children's character Paddington Bear. This cub is sticking close to Mum. Although at nearly a year old, it won't be long before she encourages him to set out on his travels. Before then, the cub needs to learn from Mum how to find food in these trees and plants. But there's not a marmalade sandwich in sight. Just confusing flowers and vegetation he'll have to navigate without losing his balance. Mum shows how it's done. Leaving behind a trail of destruction as she tries to find the juiciest plants. Living on the equator means there's food all year round, so no winter snooze for these guys. Junior finds it's not quite as easy as Mum makes it look. Over 45 kilos is a lot of weight to haul up a vertical tree trunk. The bromeliads that make the tastiest snacks grow high up on the trees, and unless Junior can get there soon, Mum will have eaten all the best bits. Which doesn't impress the frogs. She's eating them out of house and home. The relentless mist turns bromeliads into the ultimate penthouse with a pool for Amazonian amphibians. If Junior's to join in this feast, he'll have to learn fast, without ropes and crampons. What goes up must come down. Oh well, if at first you don't succeed. This little bear is nothing if not determined. And a mouthful of spiky leaves help to make it all worthwhile. Look, Mum, I made it. For persistence and a can-do attitude, the spectacled bear cub climbs in at number 7 on the Amazon Survival Countdown. Hidden below the foliage is the queen of the forest litter, the fire ant. Such is their organized ferocity, fire ants go about their daily foraging with little interference from other animals. Most insects and other forest floor critters do their best to steer clear of these marauding mobsters. There's no shortage of babysitters in these underground nurseries. But even all these eager guardians are helpless to prevent one serious threat. Water. And lots of it. In the rainy season, parts of the Amazon jungle become completely flooded. The transformation brings a new crowd to the neighborhood. Freshwater dolphins explore pathways that not long ago were high and dry. But fire ants are nothing if not resourceful. When the floods come, the colony comes together to form a living raft. Surface tension keeps them afloat, helped by air bubbles trapped between their water-repellent bodies. It's clever, but not that clever. They may be able to raft on top of the water, but the larvae on this cruise are still vulnerable to underwater pirates. When they make it to dry land, or at least a tree, the colony disembarks, unloading the family as they go. But for turning a blind eye while fish make caviar of the kids, fire ants float outside the top 10 countdown. One of the largest creatures in the rainforest is a scary customer who loves the semi-aquatic Amazon lifestyle. The giant South American anaconda is the world's heaviest snake, with a whopping appetite to match. Their incredible elastic jaws mean they can consume prey as large as a caiman. Big snake means big babies, but to reduce the risk of predation while they're eggs, they hatch out inside their mother's womb. Dozens emerge, slithering and seething, at a full 60 centimeters long. In a ghoulish act of recycling, Mum eats those that don't make it out alive, including any unhatched eggs. After a slap-up meal, she decides parenting's for the birds. And from this point on, Mama Anaconda couldn't care less about the kids. A young swim away to explore their new underwater playground completely on their own. The baby snakes are great swimmers and can hunt from the moment of hatching. But this young snake isn't the only killer in the water. And it'll be no match for a gang of piranhas. The infant swims into the weed at the water's surface to evade its pursuers, but attracts the attention of an ocelot. Anacondas have no venom, so are a safe snack for this small cat. And this snake's short life comes to a grisly end. But with so many siblings striking out simultaneously into the watery world of the Amazon, the family can afford to lose a few. For having such a scary incubator, anaconda babies slide up the Amazonian survivor ladder to number 6. Coming up in the Amazon Survivors Countdown, supersized river mammals dealing with an unwelcome guest. And fish fry magicians that use an incredible visual trick to confuse predators. At the halfway mark, the number 5 extreme animal baby is one of the world's most appealing aquatic species, the otter. Animated faces, strong family ties, and an adventurous nature combine to make these little fellas really quite lovable. Only in the Amazon, otters aren't at all little. Giant otters can grow to almost 2 meters in length, making them the largest otter on Earth. Known locally as river wolves, they're impressive hunters and can swim over 100 meters in 30 seconds. Otters as young as 2 months will go out hunting, but catching the fish is often only half the battle. With as many as 8 otters in a family group, someone else is always bound to be hungry, and no one minds their manners. But when you're small in the Amazon, having bigger brothers and sisters can be a lifesaver. Because the family has neighbors with a taste for baby otter. Cayman crocodilians. The caiman won't just blunder in for the kill. They prefer to use stealth and sneak attacks. These killer reptiles have all the time in the world for dinner, if waiting means juicy otter pups on the menu. But with many eyes keeping watch, not much gets past the otter clan. And when one would-be diner gets too close, the family intervenes en masse. This young pup's keen to get in on the action, but he's got to get past Mum first, and she has other ideas, carrying him back to the safety of the den. The caiman is keen to follow, but the otters make it very clear it's not invited for dinner. The group has the croc surrounded, and one young otter sends it on its way. But the caiman's not about to leave quietly. After all, it has a killer reputation to protect. Eventually, faced with a gang of squealing otters, the caiman gives up on dinner and buzzes off. Back at the den, the babies emerge none the wiser. So, for its early proficiency in the water and protective older siblings, the otter pup places a respectable number 5 on our countdown of Amazon survivors. These extreme animal babies go to great lengths to survive cunning predators and a frequently lethal environment in their tropical home. Competition has driven some Amazonian fish to adopt stealthy strategies to help their young survive the fish-eat-fish world. They may not look like much, but the splash tetra makes up for a lack of size by using its brain. Instead of laying vulnerable eggs in water like most fish do, this tiny fish has an ingenious hiding place on an overhanging leaf. Just one problem. They're fish who like water. So, a bit of acrobatics is needed. The male and female jump together in perfect synchronicity. The intrepid fish remain there for a good few seconds before falling back down. She's left several eggs stuck to the leaf, and each leap leaves a few more. A special gel keeps the eggs moist. However, this won't last for long. The male is now tasked with the tricky job of making sure the eggs don't dry out. He slaps the top of the water with his tail, splashing water on the precious offspring-to-be. Living up to his name, the Splash Tetra. Over the next couple of days, their fry begin to develop. But what happens next? There's no protection for the next crucial stage of their lives. The tiny fry have to fend for themselves in a river full of predators. So the Splash Tetras fall at the final hurdle and don't make it into our top 10 countdown. But now we're down to the business end of the countdown, and the final few have some really ingenious tactics. Water everywhere means there are huge numbers of fish species in the Amazon, more than the birds and mammals combined. And our next contenders, despite literally being small fry, are big on defensive measures. And they'll have to be, as the Amazon has many voracious predators, large and even larger. The huge pirarucu grows into a 3-meter giant, weighing up to 180 kilos. As adults, not much dares take on this mighty fish. And pirarucu have likely swum in the upper echelon of the food chain for millions of years. These ancient fish even breathe air. They also have the most incredible feeding technique. They suck in their prey at high speed. Despite being tiny in comparison to mum and dad, pirarucu fry are no suckers when it comes to warding off predators. They'd undoubtedly make a tasty snack for passing caimans. But you don't survive millennia in the Amazon without picking up a trick or two. And the young fish put on a particularly elaborate deception. The babies form a giant ball around their dad's head, which has darkened to blend with his massed offspring. Swimming in tight formation through murky Amazonian waters, the wall of fry appears as one with their huge parent. And way too formidable for even a hungry caiman. So, for proving the shoal is greater than the sum of its parts, the pirarucu swim in at number 4. Back on dry land, the speed and endurance of one group of babies will prove the difference between life and death. The riverbanks of the Amazon are the scene for a sandboarding competition with no rules. Every year, thousands of baby river turtles emerge from their sandy hatcheries to hurtle down towards the river. Of course, when you're wearing a crash helmet as a onesie, high-speed collisions hold no fear. But why the annual stampede? Well, wind back the clock a month and a half, and one of nature's most amazing feats of innate synchronization is underway. Many of the pregnant females which are born in this hatchery have arrived to lay their eggs on exactly the same day. Each turtle will pull themselves a safe distance from the water's edge before excavating a deep nest in the sand. Survival rates for young are low, but Mum plays the percentage game, laying around 100 eggs to ensure at least a few will make it to adulthood. She also covers the eggs with sand to protect them from the heat of the day and predatory birds. But not all have been as careful, and by dawn, the vultures are in for a feast. And in a feeding frenzy, there's only one way to have your eggs: scrambled. As far as Mum's concerned, it's job done, and she scarpers back to the water. In a second marvel of natural timing, 47 days later, her babies, along with many others, will make their first appearance. Instinctively, they dig their way out of the safety of their nest. And it's now they'll prove their mettle. The vulture's bumper egg brekkie is a distant memory. It's lunchtime. The baby turtles have only one survival option: to run the gauntlet of predators as fast as their little flippers will carry them to the safety of the water. Well, it's all relative. Their flippers are remarkably effective on land, and their shells are great for a bit of sand surfing. Whee! Unfortunately, this little turtle's sense of direction isn't as meticulous as its sense of timing, and it runs in the wrong direction. It's fast, but not that fast. And now not even its shell can save it. Even for the turtles headed in the right direction, quite a few won't make it. But with such large numbers heading for the water's edge simultaneously, the predators can only pick off so many, and the vast majority reach the water. One day, some of the females from this group of survivors may return to the same riverbank to lay their own eggs. To ensure safety in overwhelming numbers, these river turtle babies keep time like a Swiss clock. So there's nothing cuckoo about awarding them third place in the Amazonian Survivor Countdown. The Amazon canopy has only one king: the harpy eagle, the true ruler of the treetops. It's one of the strongest raptors in the world, capable of carrying half its own body weight in prey to their waiting offspring. Cleverly, harpy eagles build their nests at the very top of rainforest trees, 40 meters above ground. Safe from most predators, the growing chick lives like a fairy tale princess, whose only real concern is when they get their next meal. This princess has been waiting a couple of days, and she's not happy. The remnants of her last meal are looking distinctly unappealing, now infested with flies. Her parents are constantly on the hunt, trying to please her every whim. Today, she's getting a speedy delivery of the ultimate slow food in the form of an unlucky sloth. About time too, Mum. living in an ivory tower can have another big drawback. At fledgling stage, they have to learn to fly 40 meters up from certain depth. And at 6 months, they begin to flap those wings. But they can fall to their deaths if they get it wrong. A harpy chick will spend hours flapping, building up its wing strength before attempting the dangerous first flight. Eventually, success. With such determination and hours of practice, if she can keep her balance and temper, living like an avian Rapunzel makes her an adept survivor here. So, the harpy eagle chick glides in at number 2 on the countdown. For all the large predators in the Amazon, there's only one that sits at the apex. But these newborns are as vulnerable as any Amazon baby. Amazon babies have to be tough, smart, or very lucky to survive their childhood. At number 10, Cayman babies using mum, anyone's mum, as a life raft. Swinging in at number 9, spider monkeys clinging on for dear life. At number 8, macaws stay safe in their baby bolt hole. Climbing in at number 7, the give it a go spectacled bear cub. Baby anacondas striking out alone slide in at number 6. While giant river otter pups not getting in on the action squeak in to number 5. Number 4 sees pirarucu babies showing off their synchronized swimming to dad. A mad dash sees river turtle babies splash in to number 3. Penthouse luxury and doting parents see harpy eagle chicks flap into number 2. So it's time to meet the extreme animal baby that aces its Amazonian habitat. Subject of myths and legends, and the undisputed ruler of the Amazon jungle, even the toughest can fall victim to the jaguar. The apex predator of the Amazon forest. The strongest bite force of all the cats gives this caiman a fatal headache, crunching through its skull. No wonder a jaguar on the prowl sends everyone else running for the hills. Well, nearly everyone. Fortunately for the sloth, it had a head start. And this jaguar knows when to give up. Next time. Meanwhile, back home, Junior can't do much at this age except shout for mum. Which can be dangerous, depending on who else is in earshot. A cub makes a tasty morsel for an anaconda. And mum's lying down on the job. But not for long. This snake is in no mood to take on a mother jaguar. Just like any mum, jaguars have a tender side. But it's not for public consumption. After all, she also has a reputation to protect. Jaguars have small litters, usually 2 or 3 cubs. But when you're an only child, you've got to make your own entertainment. Trying to follow mum when she's off hunting is probably not the best idea. Part of growing up is learning to get your own dinner. And in the Amazon rainforest, being fussy about your food can be a good survival strategy. The venom of this tarantula isn't powerful enough to harm the cub, but its barbed hairs can cause nasty irritation. Yes, it's a good idea not to sample anything with 8 hairy legs. But even at this age, you can't beat a bit of time with Mum. At 3 months old, Junior still relies on Mum for milk, but time is running out. She'll be packing him off to hunt for himself, and with raw meat on the menu, that's not going to be easy. To become the apex predator, he needs special forces training. Luckily, he has the whole jungle to practice in. But not everything goes to plan. To survive here, he must learn quickly from his mistakes. He's seen Mum tackle one of these. Time to have a go. Taking to the water might work with some cats, but not this Amazon baby. Young jaguar versus baby caiman equals no contest. So for its stealth, immense agility, and ferocious bite, jaguar cubs take out the #1 slot on the Extreme Animal Babies Amazon Survivors Countdown. Once you've got a taste for caiman, it's hard not to think bigger. This young jaguar can't believe its luck. Seems fresh. Smells good. Time for a taste test. But that's probably not the best idea. Maybe he won't tell Mum about that one.